I could probably add to what your program leads to this morning, if you got any questions you'd like to ask me.
Well, only that how it's changed your life, I suppose.
Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that I had this opportunity. I had a degenerative lung disease, which I guess I could say was also aided with the fact that I had smoked cigarettes pretty heavy for a long time. But I was fairly fortunate. I had a doctor in Brandon here who had sent me to Winnipeg for an assessment, and they decided at 50 years of age that I was an excellent candidate. I had a good heart, and basically everything else was in reasonable shape. And they went ahead and over I guess a 9-month period, we went to Winnipeg I don't know how many times, and finally I got put on the registry. And I was 91 days on the registry when we got our call to go to the city.
Yeah.
And it all happens very fast.
Mixed feelings at that point? Or?
No. I think probably I was the calmest of everybody, of us that went. My wife and her sister, they looked after the transportation part of it. We got a call at 1:45 in the afternoon, and I was in the underground in the health sciences at 5:30 and on the table at 8 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
In the unit 7 o'clock the following morning.
So you have a greater appreciation and understanding for the whole system now, I presume.
Sure. I think the thing that most people don't realize is that people with a compromised immune system who are on rejection therapy have to live a very shallow life. You have to live in a glass bubble, so to speak.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Contact with people who are sick or things like that.
Needless to say, your lungs sit in the no smoking section now, do they?
Most of the time. Most of the time, they sure do. Although I don't find it too bad if there's a good air circulation in the building, but if you go to a facility where they haven't got a good air exchange system, it gets pretty tough.
So can you relate to what George says about the psychological effects?
Yeah, I sure can, because 3 weeks before I got my call to go in, when they said they had organs, I was at the point that I didn't really think I was going to survive.
Yeah.
It took my wife the best part of the morning to get me out of bed, through the tub, and to the breakfast table, and there was no real sure way of really knowing for sure that you were going to receive. I was lucky I was an A positive DNA typing. 40% of the people in the world are A positive.
Yeah.
If you're a rare blood type, you're probably going to have a pretty tough time.
Well, we're glad you're with us, and thanks for calling our show today.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, bye-bye.
Good luck, Wayne.
Yeah, bye-bye.
So if there's people like this right across this country, I presume you've had people come up and say, I'm a heart recipient, or I'm this or I'm that. If all of those people kind of got together and made it their own campaign to raise awareness, that would certainly help your cause, would it not?
Oh, absolutely. I think what the country needs to see is how many people it has affected in a positive way, and people from all walks of life. And the other thing is there has been groups and organizations and activities being done, but not enough.
Yeah. You wanted to raise a money issue this morning as well.
Yeah. One of our biggest challenges right now is financial challenge. We're working really on a zero budget because we're not sponsored by any big corporations, and basically it's a question of survival right now of how we're getting from community to community. We have an enormous amount of expenses at the end of the day and at the end of the month, and in order to keep the walk alive, we have to do, to put it bluntly, we have to do a lot of begging. We have to ask for meals, we have to ask for accommodations, we have to ask for services, repairs, and at the same time we're doing a tremendous amount of work of getting the advanced work of getting schedules sent to the other cities and towns, and organizing and coordinating. And
so what can people do for you there?
They can help out with contributions, financial contributions, and I think at this point that we've pretty well established ourselves that we're making a really positive impact on the whole country with what we're doing.
So before you leave this area, how can people make that happen?
They can contact me at the Victoria Inn. I'm in actually room 106. They can ask for Travis Martin, my road manager, or myself, George Marcello, or they can contact me on my cell phone, 416-540-7872, or check out our website, www.stepbystep.ca. And we're a non-profit charitable organization called Step by Step Organ Transplant Association, and we can acknowledge the contribution with a tax bill receipt.
All right, we're going to take our next break. We have a couple of people on the phone lines. We'll try and get to you before we end our program today. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Or you can contact my guest at the Victoria Inn for the next day or so, and the cell number is 416-540-7872. And if you're interested in supporting my guest's cause as he continues across the country. Hi there, thanks for waiting for us. You're on the air.
Hello, sorry, I just got the last 10 minutes of your show, so I don't know what you've all covered, but I had a question.
Sure.
Is there an age limit for donating organs?
No, there isn't, sir. What we say to people is that everybody is eligible. We had the case of an 86-year-old great-great-grandmother that had 5 good working organs, and as a result there was 5 lives saved. So the hospital makes the distinction of you know, what organs could be available and what not. So instead of saying that there's a barrier with age or any barriers, what we're saying to people is that everybody is eligible to become an organ donor.
We were told on the last program last week, in the case of the liver, it regenerates every 7 years as well.
That's correct. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be more surgeries done with live donors.
Yeah.
So we've had a few successful ones already in Canada.
So a younger person wouldn't necessarily have priority over an older?
Absolutely not.
Are you talking about recipient or donor?
Both, like for the recipient in terms of priority, but I was wondering about age limit in donating.
Okay, in terms of a donor. Well, then the advice George is giving and that we've heard before in this show is to let them decide and sign the card.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Our other caller dropped off the line here, so we'll continue with our program. So, would you like to see a national program? Because you just said it's different from province to province, and we're so darn transient that would you like to see a national standard?
Absolutely. You know, what we need to do is have our whole country embrace the spirit of organ and transplant donations and accept that it's a cure, that we have a cure in our hands. Other countries, such as Spain, once they found out that the anti-rejection drugs were working a lot better, and you know, the medical communities were stating that there's a 90% chance of getting your healthy life back after a transplant. They jumped on it right away, and they embraced it, the spirit of it, and as a result they put in the best systems for their country. And you know, most Spaniards are educated and aware about it, and that's why they're having a lot of people surviving.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm old enough to remember the first one and all the controversy that surrounded it, and the guy lived a matter of days, and people were saying, why bother, you know, look what we're putting people through. And now, you know, we do a program in Brandon, Manitoba, and we have, in the last week, 3 guests here who've undergone transplants. We have calls from others who have, so it's not to say it's commonplace, but it's certainly proven itself.
yeah, well, you know, we're saying it's time,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm being called an activist, and it's better than a radical.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'm very active in really trying to get the government to do more.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on our show. Success to you and your group here, and we thank you for bringing the program to us, and as I say, we wish you continued success on the rest of your trip.
Thank you so much, Bill, for having me, and Rick, you can join me anytime on the Rock.
All right, we've been talking with George Marcello and briefly with Branda Avis, who's part of the crew here on the step-by-step journey.